What do you mean you don't have hot sauce? This is Texas. We put Tabasco on cornflakes. You can play it safe if you want to, but you gotta risk it to get that biscuit. When it comes to business, you gotta look out for the cookout. That's how we do it in Texas. What do you mean my accent is too southern? Well, we're fixing to get it on Solve for X. Welcome to Solve for X, the podcast where curiosity meets collaboration. I'm Dr. Rick Fernandez, your host on this journey into the heart of education and innovation. Welcome to another episode of Solve for X. I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, where we talk to innovators, creators, and learn how they're solving the world's latest problems. Please welcome our guest, Jonathan Wachtel, one of the co-founders of OurCo. You know OurCo, so you're in Houston. OurCo is a chemical company, but I don't think that's quite what you're going.
Funny thing is, when we were coming up with the name, that came up.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The OurCo gas station,
Yeah, okay.
that whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So we had this internal fight, and it all turned out well after we realized it's all in the pronunciation. So OurCo.
Well.
Our community,
Yes.
our consensus, our connection. That's the idea.
Excellent. And what do you solve for?
So what we did was we decided that we're sick and tired of a situation in which leaders are navigating the world trying to provide services to the people they serve without really knowing how they feel, what their wants and needs are. They do, but not to the extent that they should. And during COVID, it became completely apparent that this just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
There needs to be that level of engagement that takes it to a place where it needs to be, where decision making is not this guessing game anymore, that you can really, as a leader, get the feedback that you need to understand what your constituents need and communicate on a regular basis. So I teamed up with a childhood friend of mine, a guy named Fernandez, who sold his company to Facebook about 14 years ago. And my background is public affairs, State Department. I was a broadcast journalist. My millennial-age son, Benjamin, is a creator in the entertainment business. And we decided what we're going to do is create a social platform like social media,
Mm-hmm.
plug in the ability to have intense sentiment gathering tools, put it together, and that have a gamified situation in which the leader reaches out to the community, the admin reaches out to the community, and is able to get that response rate and engagement from the community that is robust and reliable.
Interesting. Okay, so a social media platform, but one that's a little bit more targeted, a little bit more fluid, particularly if you're a leader. I'm assuming you don't want everybody with the ability to respond. You want to make sure you're reaching your stakeholders. So can you give me like an example of a use case, or how would a leader use it in practice?
So Houston Independent School District here, where we are today, Superintendent Mike Miles has been using the tool readily to try to understand how to navigate things with his leadership team as they try to transform the district. It's been, quite a challenge.
Sure.
And amazing strides have been made. But one of the areas, there are many areas in which he's leveraged the tool, but one was to understand how to work out this pay per performance system that he's worked out, the largest in the country. That was one of the things. And then you have various other things that can come up. We have districts using it to deal with wraparound services, what to do there to make sure that the kids are being looked at, stuff that you don't want to necessarily go public with and figure it out internally. And then once you have it worked out, the kinks worked out, then go publicly. So the platform, what I'm talking about, is engagement directly with those constituents
Mm-hmm.
in the leadership team. Let's say the principals or the teachers trying to figure out teacher development day. But then we have schools that are using it in such a robust fashion that the leadership reaches out to the kids and asks the kids what they want.
Student voice.
Yeah, so you have civics in action in a public school, for instance, just voted for a new mascot. They got tired of what they had, new mascot. They're doing student elections. So it depends on the comfort of course, the superintendent or principal about how broadly to use the tool, but it has great versatility. And one of the key characteristics is we built in moderation, because if you don't have moderation with social media, things go haywire.
So when you say moderation, give me an example, like tease that out for a little bit.
So the way that works is though people are able to respond and they will to polling questions or sending in comments, they are not hijacking the situation like a Facebook or other social media and trying to cancel each other out and shout. So
Okay.
you don't have, the leaders are able to control that. They can shut off that mechanism if they want to, because sometimes you don't want to hear from them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just,
derailing the conversation.
yeah, I mean, Rick, there are times when you were a superintendent, first of all, there are times when you don't want to ask a poll, right?
There's a lot of that, a lot of those times, yes.
Yeah. And then there are times where you simply want to send out a push notification to the community,
Sure.
which you can do. You can send out a poll result to to tell the community, hey, 73% of you responded that they really think that the bond measure is going to pass. But sometimes you're not going to want to do that. You're not going to want to talk that way. But when you send out a poll question, you should sometimes allow private comments and sometimes turn it off. Sometimes you really need them to answer those particular questions because you need the insights. You don't need the other noise.
So sometimes you can leave it open-ended if you want to get a little bit more of a sense of, all right, this is how the community's thinking, this is how staff is thinking. Or if you just want a quick hitter where like, hey, I just need to get a feel for if we want to implement this program. So it's got multiple use cases within a school system. Okay, I'm tracking. So now I want to think a little bit about your background. As a journalist, what are the biggest gaps that typically you find in communication? Because I would imagine as you're seeing things evolve and you see all the communication out there, what sparks your interest in like, okay, I know this is a communication gap for my work experience, my life experience. Anything that comes to mind, like, all right, we got to solve this.
Well, as a journalist, I hate to break it to you, but as a journalist, I used to cover school scandals sometimes. So we were always looking, for this outrageous thing that's happened, right? Whatever it is, or scandals. And, I'm proud to say I was responsible, but there are others who want those headlines.
Yes.
They need it, and you get those.
Oh yeah.
You want a story with legs, and you just want to keep digging and going at it. So I'm mindful of the way that process works. So in that regard, as a tool, also, if you as a leader are able to predetermine certain things, to feel out, to avoid scandals, to get buy-in, let's say, from your teachers,
yes,
before you have a situation in which you have heaven forbid, a strike action or some other issue that may come up, you can begin doing some of that bargaining on the quiet so that you don't have to deal with all this crazy later. Or some other issues happened and you decide, you know what, I'm going to reach out to the parents and I'm going to tell them that we're on top of this. Don't worry. What happened at the Christmas party is not a big deal. We dealt with the problem of the kid having alcohol or whatever's happened. It's being dealt with, will never happen again. There's disciplinary action. And then you can ask later on the app, how are we doing? And quietly find out whether you're meeting the needs and showing that you have an attentive ear to the situation. And unlike a situation in which you do these periodic surveys, when you have a social cohesion going on at the same time, because at the end of the day, we're a social media too.
Yeah.
So it's not just polling. So you're going to have that captive audience in there. Those who really care and want to be engaged are able to continuously engage with you when you need some information at your beck and call, essentially, and they themselves feel that they're part of the community too.
I'm thinking as you're talking about all of the calamities, right, that you deal with as a superintendent, and there's multiple levels, and you have to go through multiple protocols, not only for compliance and safety and all the things you must do, but then there's this strategy. Then there's how's this going to land, right? Like, how are we going to say this, or how quickly should we say this? Are we going to create alarm unnecessarily? So in this space, in the communication space in K-12, it's a little bit crowded. What would you say is the differentiator from some of the things that you know, having children, how a school normally communicates? What's different about OurCo?
So the Our app is different because, I enjoy platforms like, where my young guy goes to school. We have Parent Square. It's great. But the poll system is really not
functional like it needs to.
I just don't engage.
Yes.
And though I'm a responsible parent and I go to board meetings, there's no one there. So unless you've got some contentious thing going on, that could have maybe been dealt with
Alleviated.
before it became a major problem.
Yeah.
With our. So I'm not saying, I mean, problems always arise. The world's filled with them and they're gonna come.
Sure.
So you might as well have some sort of tool in which you're engaging socially with them, because that engagement is really everything for your, carrying out your mission. If you're not engaging, then you're siloed and you're asking for trouble. So that's a different aspect to us, that the parents using the app or the teachers,
Yeah.
you as a superintendent know that there's always this tension in which you're asked to do something from the state and the teachers may be
Something has to change, a
Something has-
program, the accountability, testing, all that stuff.
right, but you can delicately work that into the system with them directly, help them out, give them a sense of buy-in so that they understand and feel validated, because they're working their behinds off
Yes, they are.
trying to serve, and then they're getting additional things piled in. But if you're able to explain it to them, then you're going to avert some difficulties too. And so having that ability to have this socialization going on at the same time that you're polling is really beneficial. And that's something that's not out there. The other thing is the real-time data that you're getting. You're getting feedback in real time. So you're able to watch what's happening. If you have to go to a board meeting and you need this information and you send out that poll, right up to the moment you walk into that board meeting, you're going to have the latest tally of what people think and go right into that board meeting.
Wow. Because that's a great point. There's oftentimes a bunch of questions come up during a board meeting that we don't have the answer for in the moment, and it's going to take a while to compile the information, right? And if a board member asks a question about, how does our community feel about this or that, or what do they think about our accountability rating? Like, how do you even? It's too long of a cycle, right? We waste so much time trying to actually compile it, and then by the time we get it, synthesize it, it's already passed us by in a lot of ways. I want to throw something at you, because what we don't really have a good way to do here is sell our schools, sell our school districts, right? And so there's been a lot of change in Texas. We've got vouchers now, so school choice, if you want to call it that, where every school district is in competition with not only their public neighbor, but charter, private, homeschool, everything. And we've never had to be the salesperson of our own school districts. Is this something that may be able to help with that?
100%. The tool is, though it's a community tool,
right,
and you've got your school community, the truth is you can broaden it out as much as you want.
Right.
You can you call it what you want to call it. You're going to call it your district name. The public perception is going to be that this is your tool, this is your mobile and web app. So you can tout it as your own because you're going to call it your own.
So you could brand it as your own.
You can shape it any way you want in terms of the constituent group. So if you want to get the general public out there, the taxpayers, because you're concerned and you know that there's some sort of revolt that's happening, or you really do need that bond measure to pass, and you can get them on the app, get community partners on the app. You have that flexibility. And the other strength is that, unlike just getting yes, no responses, because people are registering, it's your community, you're getting demographic information that can be vital for you. So you can see how you're serving your Latino population. What are some of the issues coming up maybe within the Asian population that maybe they don't like something that's going on?
Yes.
Or there's some differentiation between how males and females feel about
tell you
things,
what,
or
consolidation.
Your sports. Everything, any question that you deal with, we're
Yeah.
trying to alleviate that for you so that you're actually a community leader. This makes you a community leader.
Not all, but a large majority of my buddies that are superintendents are going through district consolidation. For whatever reason, students have either left, or the birth rate is low, or demographics change. But the consolidation is one of the hardest issues to deal with, right? Because nobody wants to close schools. Nobody wants to have their neighborhood school be closed and then rezoned. And a lot of my friends are going through that. As you're talking, I think this would be a great tool to help with the communication, with the transparency, getting a feel, because really you're choosing lesser of evils when it comes down to that, right? You got to stay financially, solvent, And if you don't close schools, oftentimes your district's going to go bankrupt. Um,
It's about trust.
yeah, it really, yes.
And one of the things about trust with us is personal information. And this is from my days working in the State Department and working as a journalist, and my colleague also working in the social media space. We refuse to sell personal information to third parties. It's your app. You hold the data. You do with it what you feel you
There's
need
no,
to
it's
do.
not going off.
It's not like
oh,
Google.
that's great. That's
It's not
fantastic.
like Google. It's not like Facebook and all
Yes.
those groups or WhatsApp. Those guys
They sell your data.
They're
absolutely.
selling your data.
Yeah.
So when you're participating, at least on this app, you don't have to worry about that, and you're allowed to actually cast your vote on a poll question anonymously. I mean, if you want to ham it up and show everything about yourself and be there, you can do it. But if you're a teacher and you'd rather not be seen by
Yeah,
the superintendent,
absolutely. You
anonymously
can make it
answer.
either or not. Yes, absolutely. And there's times when that makes a lot of sense, of where you don't want people to feel pressure to, if they feel a certain way, then you want to know exactly what those feelings are. It's critical that you get great feedback from your stakeholders. So, a journalist. So you've got some insight into. You mentioned some of the school calamities you may have seen. Are you able to see communication going off the rails when something bad happens at schools? Can you this is going to be this is going to blow up?
You know it, you smell it.
Oh, really?
And
What's the indicator?
The indicators is when you're not seeing that forthcomingness happening.
Yeah.
No comment. Things like that start to come out, and you're like, okay, there's some dirt in here. I mean, it's one thing when a person walks in front of a camera and they're like, or pushes the camera away. But when there's no response going on, there's trouble.
Yes.
So, you as a leader know that you've got to engage out the gate. You got to be truthful. You've got to be there. You got to be honorable. You may not have the answers, but even communicating that out the gate is so critical to get things right-sided so it doesn't go wobbly on you. And we're, journalists, I say we, I'm making my, we're looking for a good story. We want a juicy story with legs.
Absolutely.
And you don't want that unless it's
No.
positive.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of times it's not the lack or evasion of transparency. A lot of times we're waiting on things, right? You have to run it by legal. What do we want to say? What, communication, like all of that stuff. And then it gets bogged down in kind of some of the processes. And so the districts that are more efficient can quickly understand what's the pulse. Is my community, is this something that the community is going to be in uproar about? Is this something that ability to have that quick information is critical? Because a lot of times we're just sitting and waiting.
But imagine, I don't know how often when you were a superintendent or your colleagues, you'll have your meetings. There's the board meetings that happen at the Board of Education, but by and large, there's not much community engagement. But what if you have a steady flow like that?
Yeah.
Then when you have that crisis communication situation, it's probably not going to, it depends on what the topic is, but
Right.
it's probably not going to be
No,
so horrible.
It doesn't land as bad.
It does. That's exactly right. It's not, because they know that you're an honorable person
Yeah.
and you care and you're listening.
Yeah.
So as long as that's the mood, the general mood of what you've cultivated in your community. So that's what we wanted. This is a community tool.
I mean, that's a great point. Your community will support you even in the rough times if all along the way you brought them into the process, right? They'll defend you vigorously.
They'll know you're honorable.
Yeah.
And that you care about them. And the truth is you do.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be in this profession doing public service
Yes.
if you didn't care about the people you serve. So do it right. Do it
Yeah.
in a way that is really warm, friendly, inviting, and engaging, and gives them a chance to weigh in.
So walk me through it. It's an app. So district says, okay, this makes perfect sense for us. What's a kind of a 30,000 foot view of how they get started, what would be required, and how they would implement across their school district?
So they contact us and we set up a meeting. We review what the community is going to look like, because each community is different.
Sure.
Some communities have a very robust need to have donors involved or alumni involved. I don't know whether that's something important to when you're working, but each have their own needs And it is a mirror image of what a leader wants to be able to engage, and how in an ideal situation they would do that.
So it's custom.
So it's customized. You come up with the name. It's your logo. It's your school colors. It's all totally branded for you to give that impression that it is your app. And when you look at your iPhone or your Android, it says "our" all in caps, because it's your community, it's my community, it's our community, and they're on and they join the community according to where they belong, and they're engaging and right away participating in the community. When you put out those poll questions, you welcome them in, and at any given moment you're going to be engaging. And to create the communities is boom, we're done. We do it on the back end. It's done.
Excellent. So how many times, like if I were to sign up, how many calls do I get if there's a calamity? Hey, Jonathan, I need you to write me something up real quick. You need to save me for this. What am I doing wrong here? How many of those can I pull on you?
Well, you can do endless polls. You can do any.
No, I'm calling you.
Oh, you can call.
No,
you can.
joking.
Well, no. It's actually, we provide a service to some
Okay.
customers
Totally
in which we write content. Look, believe me, I want to save journalism in the good sense of it, because journalism's suffering.
Yes.
And we've got a whole ton of great writers who understand the subject matter, are there to help. Now, usually there's a comms director who,
Sure.
And by the way, comms directors immediately get the utility of what we have. And
This is on the nose for them. Yeah.
and they can write, you can provide whatever content you want. It's going to have images, it's going to have photographs or video. You can your poll question can be AP style of an article, almost 300 words, whatever you need to do. Generally, schools don't do that. It's short and sweet. But if you really want to get into the pro and con, like when you go to vote and you got a ballot issue and you read through that thing, you can create something like that and send it out. Maybe that's something you do want to do, because you've got to do some explaining, because the community does not understand the budget constraints you have. And you have to do some cutting, and you're going to be deeply unpopular, and they have to understand what happened, that the COVID relief funds are gone and you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with, and I'm sorry, but there have got to be cuts. So what do? And as a superintendent, you're worrying about, I got to cut teachers, programs, what am I going to do? Where are the priorities? Every district's dealing with that now. And these are tough decisions. And the community doesn't know that this is what's going on. They just look at their tax bill and think, get your act together.
And we go by what our kids tell us, right? Kids are doing well. Everything's good. That's how we operate as parents, right? Just making sure our kids are safe. So obviously we talked a little bit about Texas and the Texas market. Schools are cash strapped. How does something like OurCo come in, and is it a cost-effective way to do something else? Can it replace something? Does it all of the apps that are currently out there? Where does it fit in terms of a district really struggling for funding but still needs this type of communication?
So districts, Rick, commonly will hire a consultant to look at what's going on, and they'll do surveys, and that ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
Not at all.
It's not. And it's long. It takes a long time.
It's a very laborious process. So with the Our app, which is very inexpensive, and at some point we'll talk about pricing, but it allows you to do it yourself. You don't, I'm not saying that, I'm not out to put consultants out of business.
Right, no.
If these survey consultants were smart, they would use Our, which actually in a couple of cases is happening with the chambers of commerce that use it, because we're not just in education.
Right.
This application works in any leader, stakeholder environment. So it's not surprising that we have nonprofits using us and other leaders, chambers of commerce, business development groups and things, and it can go anywhere. But we primarily have found a sweet spot in education, and we really want to help. But the savings on that alone are remarkable. Having the real-time insights coming at you as a leader so that you can decide something and not screw it up is great. Pre-testing ideas that you're going to know as you go through an ongoing surveying process with your constituents, as opposed to these long-winded, once in a while you'll do a survey type of thing, and then the data comes back and you're deliberating over it. By the time you figure it out, that ship has sailed, and you should have made the decision not to go ahead with that project, because the results are telling you not to be contemplating that. So the freedom that you have as a leader to know what's going on instantaneously or virtually instantaneous when then your data science team or you yourself look at the details is invaluable in some cases.
You know, as you're talking, I'm thinking of all the organizations that support education, Talos being one that I'm a member of, and we have multiple events, very large scale events. Matter of fact, we had one on Thursday, and it is very difficult to coordinate across the state to get information, to bring everybody together for these long, big events that we host. On top of that, our regional affiliates are growing like wildfire. So now we've got them all over the state, every corner of the state, and continuing to grow. For organizations like that, like, we're all spread out, but we gotta have some consensus of how we move forward, because bringing everybody together is the point. It would make sense for those type of organizations as well. Am I
Exactly,
missing?
you're right. So you know, a conversation we've been having in California is the LCAP.
Yeah.
You know, you have the Texan equivalent.
Yes.
Why does that have to be this expensive, ongoing thing? And like, oh, we got to do it again this year, when actually you're going to have those same constituents, the parents and the students, if you want to do. You're going to have them on this app, answering readily anyhow. And you're going to get your feedback.
My Title I meetings for like that I have with my
and the
parents.
data is precise. We crank out data reports. We leverage AI, of course.
Sure.
You have to for the
Yes,
speed.
why wouldn't you?
And then our data science team is looking at that to make sure there's nothing wonky in there. And off you go. And you can go into your meetings. All of this is nice, and nice pie charts and the whole thing. And you're going to go in with those stats and overview of what's going on, and you have it. And you don't have to go through all this. You know the teams that have to be pulled together and pull that task off every year. It's exhausting,
large,
and it's expensive.
It's stressful. Yes, all of the above.
And you don't need to do that because you're subscribing to something that's going all year long. This is just one event of many that you're going to accomplish in the course of the year.
Man, I'm sold because there's multiple use cases I can think of right off the top of my head for multiple organizations that I'm involved in, and we're all trying to pull things together in support of K-12, right? So if somebody wants to reach out, how do they get a hold of you? How do they contact OurCo and get more information, set up a meeting, set up a demo? What's the best way to get your...
Go to OurCo.com,
okay.
OURCO, one word, stands for ourcommunity.com, and the directions will be right there. Just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. Look, I stepped away from a career as a diplomat and a journalist to try to actually save the world in a good sense.
Sure.
Not
Absolutely.
This crazy.
I love the idealist, yes.
But I just, as a human being, I just am sick and tired of not feeling a part of what's going on in my community.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. And certainly as a leader, and I've been a manager and things like that, I want to know what my people are thinking and the people I'm helping. And it doesn't have to be difficult in the digital age. This is a use case of this digital society we're in, that we can really harness it as a socially responsible, cohesive, evolved way to go about doing things in our world. And your school communities need this.
Absolutely.
You need that engagement.
Absolutely.
And you need a friendly, helpful, beautiful place that you can go to virtually if you need to, and then serve.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough for joining the show. You heard it here first on Solve for X. OurCo. I'm gonna say it right. Like Texas, we'd say OurCo, but I'll say it OurCo.
Or just say our, because the app's, it's your app, it's my app, it's our app.
I love it. Next time we're gonna talk a little Russian stories.
Yes, we will next time.
Thank you for being on the show.
Good to
Appreciate
see you,
it,
Rick.
Thanks for joining us on Solve for X. Please follow, like, and subscribe for more episodes. And until next time, keep asking the right questions and solving for X.